Shayne. It's Guy Gilchrist and his little green boss. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I'm Jim Henson's cartoonist and have been for how long? Oh, almost 50 years. You know, he's old. You know, Shayne, I told him way back in 1980 that the way that he wouldn't get old, because, you know, I'm turning 70 this year. And how do I stay so youthful? Moisturizing. That's what he told me. You know, the swamp. You know, it moisturizes. So, heads up on that, because you're turning 40. Got a song for you, and I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about me and Jim. Oh, and I almost forgot. So, this drawing that I just did, and this whole thing, is from Samantha and Annabelle. And Aubrey was her name. And that's for you. I hear that you're making puppets, and I also found out that you went and saw my buddies doing Fraggle Rock live. That is so awesome. I was just it was Thanksgiving now, and then I just saw Johnny, and they were all getting that together. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? What's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions. And rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it, but I know they're wrong. Wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and you too. I remember the day that Michael Frith, you know, who was my main boss, you know, and of course you're a puppet maker, so you know who Michael is. And, so, you know, Michael called me from New York City, and he had just gotten back from London, and he had been over there with Jocelyn and Jim, because Jim had given them his flat. He said, guys, let's try to make a new show to promote world peace and stop war. And, well, of course, you know, Michael said the same thing that I always would say to Jim. Yes, Jim. You know, for anybody else to have that idea of bringing the world together might sound outrageous, but us, it was just Jim. Anyway, Michael and Jocelyn were over there, and Michael's from Bermuda, you know, and I don't know if you know this stuff, but so Michael was originally from Bermuda, and so you know the caverns and everything in Fraggle Rock? Well, that comes from the phosphorescent caverns in Bermuda. And anyway, Michael called me as soon as he got back from London, and we had this new thing, you know, called a fax machine. And he was faxing me pictures of Gobo, like I just drew for you, and the other Fraggles, and telling me to start painting the boxes. And I'm going, but what's this all about? And Michael shared with me the story that we were going to create this new thing, that there were going to be the Fraggles, There were going to be the Doozers. There were going to be the Gorgs. And this is going to be like the whole world, in that whether we know it or not, every single thing that we do affects everybody else. And that we're all interdependent on each other, whether we know that or not. And you probably know, because you love all things Muppets, that the scenes with Doc and Sprocket were, for America, but in every single country in the world, there would be a different person instead of Doc that had more to do with the country that that Fraggle Rock was airing on. So, so there would be, in France, for instance, there could be a pastry chef, in Italy, a chef, there was a lighthouse keeper, in the UK, et cetera, et cetera. The idea was that when the universe was formed and the earth was formed, that there were no dotted lines with names on any countries. It was just one planet. And if we could all understand that we are all humankind, that we all depend on each other and love each other, then maybe that would bring people together and make peace. And that's what Jim's idea was. Wow, that was 1982 that Michael gave me that call. And anyway, I wish you all the very, very best, and it's absolutely wonderful that you're making puppets, and I hope that you'll take the opportunity to, send me an email and show me what you're doing. I've certainly, designed a lot of them. I don't make them, I can barely puppet them, but I can draw them pretty good after 40, whatever this is, years, right? So anyway, this is for you. And Samantha, Annabelle, and Aubrey have brought you this moment. And so I'm going to tell you a story about moments with me and Jim. So, since I was doing the comic strip for the whole world, hey, no pressure, right? 150 million people reading it every day, and I was writing it and drawing it. Well, Jim and I, our relationship was always about, hard work and making that hard work very, very fun. We were always incredibly busy, and so our conversations, although absolutely loving and lively and everything, Jim wasn't chit-chatty or anything like that, because we had things to do, we had silliness and a world to save, right? So we would always talk about whatever projects we were working on. Well, this particular day, it was Thanksgiving in '83, and the Fraggles were just about to walk down the Macy's Thanksgiving parade route. And Jim was getting ready to do that, and the car was there, the Lincoln Town Car. And when all of a sudden, I was just there because I'm there. Jim was the one that had things to do, being the big star and everything. And, and Jim had been a star since, really 1955, 56, when he created Sam and Friends. And, went national, very, very quickly. So Jim, being my senior by quite a few years, had known about fame and about deadlines and about people needing a lot of things and you being only one person and trying to take care of a lot of different things at once. And so this particular moment that I'm going to tell you about meant an awful lot to me, because this was '83 and I was in the midst of it. It was Muppet Mania, and I was writing the Muppets and drawing them, for the whole world. And we were creating the babies at that time. You didn't know it yet. And I was working on Fraggle, so we had a lot going on, And so it can be pretty stressful. Anyway, so at this particular moment, instead of Jim starting to walk down the parade route, he jumped into the Lincoln town car along with me because the Kermit float, the balloon, was heading over Central Park, and they had to go chase it down, you know. So anyway, while they were chasing it down, Jim and I jump in there, and Jim says to me, you know, you have so much to do and you try so hard. And there's so little time and everybody wants so much. And you're trying. And you're trying. And these moments, you know, they just fly by because it's a blur. You know. So, Guy, without telling anybody, because, you know, you can't slow down. Without telling anybody, stop and take a picture of whatever's going on in that moment. Take a picture of that moment, not with just your eyes, but with your mind and everything that you feel. How does it smell? How does it feel? The touch, the taste, the electricity, everything, all of your senses. Take it in. Put it right here and here. Because that moment right there, it'll never happen again. Wow, what a thing to tell me. What a thing to tell me. And that's why I'm telling it to you. Don't rely on your cell phone to take pictures of these magical moments in your life. Okay? Do that thing that Jim told me to do. You know what's crazy is every time I tell this story, because he had told me that, and I realized that, you know, I was stressing a lot, you know, and although I was very, very joyful and having a lot of fun, you know, for a kid, you know, it's a lot. And I found myself, I remember after the parade was over, walking past, you know, all of those streets and going to Grand Central to go home to my family in Connecticut. I remember as soon as I see that picture of Jim in the limo and then the parade with the Fraggles and everything and that beautiful float that Michael had made, I can feel the wind. I can see the papers and the, you know, pieces of popcorn and the stray trash and this and that, you know, going across the almost deserted streets as I'm walking down to Grand Central. I can feel the weight lift off of me and the wondering, am I getting enough joy while I'm making everybody happy and that's making me so happy? Am I finding peace? All of these things, I can see it very, very clearly. I can feel the wind. I can feel Jim's hand touching mine. I can see him as clearly as you're seeing me right now. I'm so glad that Samantha and your family asked me to be a part of this magic moment with you. We love you. Happy birthday.